Okay, where did you allow him time to get off the bike? Is my question to you.
All right, who's here on Jack Albert Evans?
Present, Your Honor.
Are y'all ready to proceed with the motion to suppress?
Defense counsel's ready. Ready.
All right, court is calling 2025 CR 0027769 State versus Jack Albert Evans Jr. Could I have parties announced for the record?
Renee Munoz on behalf of Mr. Evans.
And are you Mr. Evans? All right, the defense has requested a motion to suppress hearing. And is this a case involving a warrant or not?
No, Your Honor. Warrantless detention.
All right, state, you may proceed. All right, Officer McFadden.
Your Honor, may I attend to the court case law, which I attended to the state as well, regarding the law surrounding some of these issues.
Of course. Thank you. Oh, is this going to be long? Hearing?
The one witness, correct?
Oh, so he can either sit there or he can stand here, and I'll need you to move over there, sir. Hello. Hi, all right. If you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Officer Zachary McFadden, badge number 1507.
All right, in just one moment. Here you are, don't hold it.
Thank you. Bad hat.
No problem. And you know, as children, my grandmother would always say, don't swallow it, it's gonna ruin your intestines. Don't know if that's true or not, but we don't.
Probably.
All right. State your witness.
Officer, considering you retire, fair to say that you're sending to your police department officer.
Dave.
You're sending to your police department officer.
Yes.
And were you for the next capacity and you
Yes, sir.
on that day, were you not going?
Yes, sir.
What shift did you?
South Patrol B shift.
What is the shift?
B shift is from 1330 hours to 2130 hours.
In normal time, how was it?
Sorry. 1:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
And you said South Patrol, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is South Patrol?
South Patrol, the city is divided up into north, south, east, west, central, downtown, and Prue. South covers Highway 90 and below out to I-37, a large area.
And you're responsible for control over that entire area?
No, sir, it's divided up into sections. We have 3 sections, and I was assigned to the one side. So I believe the area this is in is Commercial Avenue area. It's considered the one side.
And what characteristics does the one side have?
Okay, the one side is there's a lot of known drug trafficking areas. Very common for persons on bicycles to be pulling narcotics. Most common on South is methamphetamine. Second to that is going to be heroin. And yeah.
And do you know this from your personal experience on patrol in this area?
Yes, sir.
Have you experienced instances in which people on bikes have been signaled to stop and have refused to do so?
Yes, sir. Many instances.
Does that happen more often during the day or at night?
More often at night.
Is there a particular reason for that based off of your experience?
I think in a general sense, from a human perspective, anyone that is concealing narcotics on them don't want to be caught by the police. And on a bicycle, there's a sense of I'm already moving, and I think I could probably get places where vehicles can't, off of roadways, into people's yards, into ditches. They go from there.
Now, during your patrol, were you equipped with a body worn camera recording device?
Yes, sir.
And was that recording device operating correctly?
Yes, sir.
How did you know?
I knew because there's a button on the front, tap it twice, and then we look down and see a red flashing light. If it's flashing red and it vibrates, then I know it's active.
January 2025, at approximately 7:11. And you observed a person riding a bicycle on the side.
Yes,
And what else did you observe about this bicycle?
the time of day was after dark. The individual was wearing dark clothing. He was on a bicycle on a city sidewalk, which is a city ordinance violation. And there was no proper lighting equipment on the bicycle. So it's not just a ordinance violation, but also a safety hazard.
What lighting equipment should have been on the bicycle?
Should have a headlight and a tail light similar to a regular road traffic vehicle.
And did this bicycle have a headlight on it?
No, sir.
Now, were you partnered with any other personnel?
Yes, Officer Brent Vermeulen.
And what did you and Vermeulen do in response to what you observed?
After we observed the ordinance violation in the specific area, the individual was coming from a known drug pickup spot, a gas station. We initiated our emergency lights, initiated a traffic stop with Officer Vermeulen in the lead. I was in the rear. The individual did not come to a stop immediately. It was approximately one city block. During that time, based off of our experience, I maneuvered to be in front of the individual, anticipating that he was probably going to run based off of the time of day, our experience and his immediate behavior when the lights came on.
What is Mark State's incident? Do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is,
this is a recording of my body worn camera on the day of the incident.
and how do you recognize it?
I reviewed it prior to this testimony and signed and dated it.
Does that recording have any edits or changes to it from what you experienced on January 11th, 2025?
No, not that I'm aware of.
January 12th, 2025.
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, when you initiated your traffic lights, you stated that the bicycle continued to approximately one city block.
Yes, sir.
After that, what did you do and what happened?
After that, Officer Vermeulen was in the rear. I was in front of the individual. I exited my vehicle and observed the individual to still be straddling the bicycle, which again is one of the more common cues that he's not going to exit the bicycle and he's trying to decide whether he's going to run or he's going to comply. Because it is dark, we have our emergency lights on. He is in dark clothing, and it's common for other vehicle traffic to be blinded by our lights. The last thing I wanted was the individual to flee, and the most likely direction would be into traffic. So for his safety and ours, we did not want to get into a foot chase, and I didn't want him to run into traffic. We detained him with handcuffs quickly. He was detained from the moment the lights came on. We just finalized it with handcuffs.
And after you detained him in handcuffs, what did you do?
After we detained him with handcuffs?
Yeah.
I explained the reason for the stop, both of the city ordinance violations, made sure he had a clear understanding of what we were doing and why we were there.
Before you explained the reason for the stop, did you take him off the bike?
Yes,
Did you relocate him?
yes, I relocated him to the front of Officer Vermeulen's vehicle for multiple reasons. One, it gives a barrier between him and traffic. Two, gives a table for us to place items on in case we're going to search. And three, there's multiple cameras, the dash camera, my camera, and my partner camera roll.
At this point, did you tell him that he was under arrest?
No, we told him that he's being detained for the traffic stop.
Did you ask him if he had anything in his pockets or anything on?
Yes, we asked him if he had anything on him, any narcotics. The individual stated he had marijuana in his pocket.
And as a result of his admission, did you search him?
Yes, we searched incident to the known narcotics in his pocket.
What did you find, if any?
After that, we located a folded up piece of paper containing a crystal-like substance. It was loose, which is uncommon. It was not sealed up in a baggie. And prior to addressing the crystal-like substance, the individual stated multiple times that he was near a car wash and picked up the paper. After we stated that it looked like crystal meth, the individual stated it wasn't his and he didn't know what was inside of the paper.
I understand. I have a few more questions. The area in which you detain this person, can you give a general description of? Is it a residential area, commercial, industrial?
Mostly a residential area.
Houses, apartments?
Yes, sir. There's, if I remember correctly, the sidewalk which he was on, he was opposing traffic, and there was a bike lane available. To our left was a residential area.
How would you
House.
describe, how would you describe the light in that area?
Not good. There's not adequate street lights. If we didn't have our emergency lights going and our headlights and our any lights we had on our body, the individual would have been in relative darkness, especially to the untrained eye, the normal person in public, probably would have overlooked him, especially if he was in the roadway.
And how did you identify this? Did they present an ID? Did they identify themselves verbally?
He identified himself verbally, giving his name and date of birth.
And to the best of your recollection, what was that name?
Jack Evans. I don't recall the name.
Understood. My last question, when you see Mr. Evans, did you display any of the weapons which you are equipped, or any of the compliance measures that you have available?
No, we have firearms, so most like firearms, we have tasers, and some officers carry a expandable baton. We displayed none of those and did not feel the need to go to any of those because we used empty open head techniques to get him detained.
Judge, at this time, state office exhibit 1.
No
Any
objection.
objection? And counsel, are you going to ask him questions as we watch State's Exhibit 1?
Your Honor, I think if the court would just like to view it, we could just view it and then subsequent to the viewing, I can ask him questions. It's very short.
All right, well, do you want to ask him questions and then
Sure.
I will view it and make a
Sure.
ruling on this
Yes, Your Honor.
probably tomorrow because I'll need a chance to view it and we're in a jury trial.
Of course, no problem, Your Honor. Yes.
But however you all want to do it, if you all want to show it to him now, that can be shown to him now. If you want to ask him questions about this.
Yes, Judge, I think that'd be fine if you can show it to him now, that way.
All right. Oh, thank you. All right, so you'll need to do it from their equipment and broadcast it, and I'll be able to watch it on the big screen. And then after this is concluded, I'll take up Rocha. And that's a motion for bond and also Escobar, which is a plea. All right, thank you. Give this to you. I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Let me get back to you. Yeah. You're the expert at this, Megan. Have you all started?
Yes,
Is there a sound?
there is eventually.
Okay. I'm sorry, could you rewind it to the beginning for me, State? Yes.
Really? You look back, you saw me. I didn't know this. Wow. You had a homework. Hey, look, there's something.
So, officer, do you recall this video that was from your body worn camera?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you some questions, sir. Is riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, a crime that is commonly associated with violence?
No, sir.
Okay. What about failing to have a light?
If you want to play.
What about failing to have a light on the front and rear of the bicycle? Is that commonly associated with violence?
Not in my experience.
Okay.
But let me caveat that. No, that is not commonly associated with violence. However,
Thank you.
it is commonly associated with people who would flee from a traffic stop when they're pulled over.
Thank you for that response. Now you say that he failed to stop when you guys had initiated the lights first and foremost. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, where is that listed in your report? Can I have that report for you if you want to furnish, recall your memory?
Yeah.
Would you
can
like
take a
to?
look at this?
Yeah, yeah. If you
So
can just
this
please.
this is not my report.
Okay.
The handling officer is Officer Brent Vermeulen.
Okay.
So I'm covering this, this.
Okay, did you do a report as well?
No.
Okay, you did not do a report
No,
with
sir.
regard to this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, information on here, if it didn't have where he had taken off or had to try to evade, that just didn't make it to the report. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't write this report.
Okay. When you approach and get out of the vehicle, is my client trying to evade or trying to get away from y'all in any way, shape, or form?
No, sir.
Okay. And you said you had additional officers with you, correct?
Yes, there's two of us there.
And to the best of your recollection, my client was alone, was he not?
Yes, sir.
Now, the way that you went about arresting him was quite quick, wouldn't you say?
Objection to the defense's characterization of this is an arrest.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can ask your question.
Placed in handcuffs.
I'm sorry, you're asking if it was quick?
Yes. Do you feel like a lot of time had elapsed between you getting out of the car and you handcuffing my client?
I feel like an individual was detained in a reasonable amount of time that was safe for both ends.
Did you feel that the amount of force was necessary?
Yes,
And why did you feel that amount of force was necessary?
the amount of force, the individual was removed from the bicycle. To the best of my belief, knowledge, he didn't incur any injuries. And he was placed in handcuffs.
Is that the way you go about doing investigative detention upon stopping people in the streets, is accosting and handcuffing them?
No, the individual accosted and handcuffs there. No, he was being stopped for a city ordinance violation, and based off of my experience, when they don't immediately exit the bicycle or come to a complete stop, oftentimes they're fleeing or they're considering fleeing. And it's a safety hazard for both us and them.
So going back to the city ordinance issue, when you see someone violating a city ordinance issue, say, for instance, jaywalking or maybe riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, do you cuff them and place them in custody and question them like that?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
Say, for example, let me simplify it for you a little bit. If I was walking across the street and I jaywalk, say I don't wait for the crosswalk to happen. I mean, it occurs all the time right here on this four-way stop over here in front of the courthouse. If I go ahead and do that, are you gonna come up with me and you're gonna handcuff me and then go and ask me questions at that point and I'm already handcuffed? Or are you gonna talk to me real like as an actual person and try to delve and see what's going on?
It's all dealt with on a case-by-case basis. And you're indicating the area in front of the courthouse, which is not the area I work. I don't know anything about this area.
I'm saying hypothetically, yeah.
Hypothetically, I don't work this area and I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
So I work south, and in that area, at the time of day, the location we were at, the area he was leaving, known for narcotics pickups and deals. His behavior, all of it added up to multi-factors to, our actions.
So you said he was leaving a gas station, right?
He's leaving a gas station area.
Gas station in the area. So couldn't he have easily just been getting a soda or
Absolutely.
or some chips?
Absolutely.
And you're coupling that with the fact that he was on a bicycle to try to justify the fact that you just handcuffing him without doing any kind of questioning before that fact?
No, the reason that he's being handcuffed is, once again, the length of time it took for him to come to a stop after the emergency lights were activated. And him not immediately exiting the bicycle.
And you heard in the video that he says he didn't really like see you guys. Did you not? Like in the video, he says, I didn't even know what's going on. I didn't see you guys. Maybe possibly he doesn't see that point, because you're saying this happened, but where is that listed in your report?
Again, I didn't write a report.
So is it
The
typical?
handling officer wrote the
Is it
report.
typical for you to not write reports when you're going ahead and handcuffing people and asking them questions?
For cover officers, on most every call, no, they don't write reports.
But you're the one that actually handcuffed him, took him off his bike, put him against the car and started questioning him, correct?
I'm the one that first made contact with the individual, and both myself and Officer Brent Vermeulen detained him with handcuffs and then began questioning him.
So that gets me to another point. You relayed information to the other officer made a report stating all these facts. Is that what you're saying? Or you have no knowledge?
No, what I'm saying is that Officer Brent Vermeulen and I were both partnered up at that moment.
Okay.
And we both initiated a traffic stop together, which is common for officers around the city and other departments to take calls together, make traffic stops together. And at the time that we detained the individual, we started working it from there.
But you were the person that or the officer that got out of the car and then handcuffed, correct?
As it appears on the video, it looks like I made contact with him first, but Officer Brent Vermeulen was right behind me.
Okay. And who asked the questions of the defendants?
Both of us asked questions.
Okay. And you didn't feel like the need to do a report just to cover your basis in terms of the handcuffing and the questioning?
When it comes to traffic stops that result in an arrest, there's a handling officer and then there's cover officers outside of that. There's some cases in the department where a supplement report is required, and that's usually dictated by a supervisor. In this case, it's just a simple one officer is handling the report and the other officer is covered for safety.
Did you witness my client do a hand-to-hand with anybody?
Not that I remember, no, sir.
Did you witness him committing any other infraction besides having the city ordinance of having the bicycle on the sidewalk or not having the lights? Did you witness any other kind of criminal infractions?
None that are coming to mind right now.
So there were two of your officers and just my client, right?
Yes,
Couldn't you have requested that he get off of the bike? He gets off of the bike, you're questioning or he's questioning, and then the other officers maybe keeping an eye out for safety. I mean, couldn't that have happened instead of what happened on the video?
what happens commonly in the traffic stops is when we initiate our emergency lights. Most people in society have gone through some form of driving school, driver's ed when they're in high school. And it's covered in that program that people are to pull over when they're being stopped by the police. And when they don't do that, we at that point start to take guesses as to why. Either they're not seeing us, or they're refusing to pull over, or there's something inhibiting them from understanding the situation. There's all kinds of reasons why he might not pull over.
But again, as far as we can tell, since you didn't do a report, it's not documented on your end, and you don't know what the other officer documented on his end, do you?
The documentation on my end is on a video in front of us, both my body worn camera and then the video attached to my vehicle, and then the handling officer will report.
Documentation usually refers to written correspondence rather than video, does it not?
There is video documentation and there is written documentation.
In this instance, there is no written documentation as to a report.
No, there's written documentation. It appears like it's right here.
That you wrote though.
No, sir.
And you're maintaining that that type of force that you used was reasonably necessary to effectuate the goal of seeing why he was riding on the bike on the sidewalk, or that reason why he didn't have the lights on? Because did you charge him with evading on foot or evading on a bicycle? I'm just curious.
I'll go to your first question. Do I think the force was necessary to affect him being detained? Yes, and he was detained at the moment that the emergency lights came on, and we completed him being detained at the moment that the handcuffs were put on this person.
Would you agree that if a person is cuffed, and the situation went how it went by, where everything happens really fast, that objectively speaking, he may not have had the whereabouts of whether he could leave or not, or the know-withal that he could leave with the freedom to leave? Did you feel like you restricted his freedom?
I'm not understanding your question.
The way that the video is portrayed, where it just gets out, really no verbal dialogue, it's just taking and restraining the person. Could it be seen objectively that he didn't believe that he could leave at that point in time? Could he just walked away at that point in time after you cuffed him?
At the moment that the traffic stop was initiated, he was not free to leave. And most people, again, who have gone through some form of driver's ed understand that they're being detained at that point.
But I was asking about the moment when he was handcuffed.
The moment that he was handcuffed, yes.
Do you believe like he could
A
just
reasonable person would believe that he was not free to leave at that point.
so he could have just taken off down the street, handcuffed and all?
Could he have done that?
Well, would you guys have allowed him to? If he didn't answer the questions to your liking, he said, no, I just want to go ahead and
I get
assert my constitutional rights to not speak to you. I want to go ahead and just walk down the street with, I mean, would you guys have been talking to him at that point, or would you guys have just continued the way that you guys had continued?
At the moment that the traffic stop was initiated, he was detained, and at that point, he was not free to go.
Okay.
If at any point during the stop he had left, no, he would have been
So,
free.
yeah, so he probably couldn't have gone at that point. Did Mr. Evans, was he cooperative with you guys? Like when you guys were talking with him?
After we made physical contact with
Yeah.
Mr. Evans, he was very cooperative.
Did he submit to your show of authority?
I'm not understanding.
Did he submit to your show of authority, like you as the officers?
Can you define a show of authority?
You as the officers handcuffing him, placing him in custody, he didn't resist or anything like that, did he?
Did the individual resist after he was placed into cuffs? No, I don't remember him resisting after he was placed in cuffs.
And then the show of authority is more like he was following y'all's request, and he was cuffed, and he didn't really feel like he was free to leave at that point because you guys had him cuffed.
Based off of your description of a show of authority,
Mhm.
And correct me if I'm misunderstanding. The show began at the moment that marked patrol vehicles with light bars affixed to the top of them rolled up on him, and emergency lights were activated. And at that point, I wouldn't say he submitted to that show of authority, as I guess as you're defining it.
But in the video, you see you guys roll up and he doesn't try to take off on the bike, or he doesn't throw the bike down and run, does he?
No, thank goodness, no,
He's going
for
for it.
his safety and our thing.
He was going quite slowly, almost to a stop. Would you not agree?
After I got in front of him, again, I'm using approximation to approximately one city block. That he was being lit up, and it took I had to get in front of him for him to come to a complete stop at that point. Or I had to get ahead of him, ahead of him on the roadway for him to go to a complete stop.
Yeah, but when you did stop the vehicle and then see him and he's on his bike, pretty much stopped there, you all don't ask him any questions or anything, right? At that point, before handcuffing him.
Again, I gave a statement earlier, in my experience, when individuals in the setting that we're talking about, operating a bicycle, as we're describing, when they don't exit the bike immediately, oftentimes we have a situation that can become very unsafe for both the individual and for officers. And to mitigate that safety concern for him, for us, and also for anyone using the roadway, yes, he was placed in cuffs.
You say that oftentimes, but wouldn't you agree that every encounter is on a case-by-case basis?
Absolutely, but we also have to use our good judgment as officers to learn from prior history and to make good decisions for what we can do in the future based off of our own experience, which is why that comes.
And in this situation, did you see him doing anything threatening?
No, no,
Okay.
other than, like I said before, he wasn't exiting the bicycle immediately. But the threatening, no.
But you can't see from your vehicle or this video when he was kind of stopping or when you're saying that you pulled up on him and he was kind of already on the bike, not able to make really an aggressive stance or aggressive movement towards y'all. Would that be fair to say? He was being compliant at that point.
If he was able to make an aggressive movement towards us.
Yeah, he wasn't, right? I mean,
I would disagree.
Okay.
Many people in a lot of aspects of my job are able to make quite aggressive and violent movements from seated positions, from lying positions, from standing positions, and from being straddled on a bicycle.
But in this situation, I mean, he didn't have a weapon. You didn't see him do any kind of illegal activity other than
And
riding on the
I'm not
bicycle.
going to get into a situation where I try to make judgment calls based off of split-second observations. I'm going to try to make things as safe as possible for all
Right.
people I encounter.
With also maintaining that they have rights that need to be protected as well. You
Oh,
forgot that
absolutely.
part, or you were gonna add that?
No, his rights.
I was just checking. Because you had another officer with you, and my client was by himself on a bicycle. That's what it comes down to, right? So what was the time frame between you cuffing and handcuffing and taking Mr. Evans to the car and asking him questions? What was that time frame like? Was it large amount of time? Was it a short amount of time?
As viewed on the video, I would just describe it as a reasonable amount of time. To me, in my experience, this is, y'all use the word quick. I don't see this as quick. I just see this as a resolve.
As a result, do you think it could be resolved in another fashion?
It could be resolved in many fashions. Just based off of our own observations, what we have in front of us, and based off of his actions,
Right.
based off other people's actions.
Or perhaps communicating with people before such action is taken of a coercive nature to handcuff someone and restrain them of their liberty. Communication could be key, correct?
Based off of the video that we all just watched and based off of my memory as well, I advised him to exit the bike multiple times prior to.
Okay, well, I must have not have seen that. Let me go ahead and replay the video. Continue playing the video.
You're right on the
Actually,
sidewalk.
you said that you asked him multiple times to get off the bike before he got off.
Say, get off the bike, get off the bike.
Okay,
Or
did you allow him the time to get off the bike, or did you guys just swarm him? Okay, where did you allow him time to get off the bike? Is my question to you.
During the time that I was saying get off the bike.
Get off the bike as you were grabbing him, throwing him off the bike and handcuffing him. Is that what it was?
I don't remember throwing him off the bike, and I don't see throwing him off the bike.
Okay, well, you grabbed him, tear him off the bike. You could have asked him to step outside of the bike. Sir, you're aware that you're violating a city ordinance. Could you have gone about it that way?
There's many options on how we can detain somebody. Again, with what I had in front of me, based off of my experience, the last thing I want is for any person to flee from us and still on a bicycle, and that can travel faster than foot speed for both me and my partner. And the last thing I want is for an individual to end up getting hit by a vehicle or to put themselves in a situation where they're gonna get hurt or we're gonna get hurt.
And you reference detention. Are you aware that if more force is necessary to effectuate the detention, it could turn into a custodial interrogation if questions are asked?
If more
If more force is necessary to maintain the status quo or to effectuate the reason for the stop, if more force is used more than that, then it could, you taking someone in custody or handcuffing someone could be viewed as an objective standard as taking someone into custody. Are you aware of that provision of the law?
yes, and I don't think that more force than was necessary to affect the detainment and handcuffs was used here.
But that's your opinion, that's your subjective opinion, correct?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So once he was taken from the bike and handcuffed, you guys started asking him questions, did you not?
After the individual was placed in handcuffs, yes, he was asked questions.
Okay, did you read him his Miranda rights at that point in time?
Don't know how deep we got in the video. I don't remember reading his Miranda rights at that moment.
Do you know if the other officer read the Miranda rights? So you're not sure if Miranda rights were ever read in conjunction with the statements he made after he was placed in handcuffs?
In conjunction, meaning like what do you say?
Like after he was placed in handcuffs and asked questions, you're not sure if he was Mirandized or not?
I'm not sure if Mr. Evans was Mirandized at any point.
And again, that probably would be useful if there was a report written, but you're saying you never wrote a report, right? Just to clarify.
Again, the handling officer wrote the report, and whether he was Mirandized or not is on the handling officer. Because he's making the arrest on him.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right, state?
You feel,
Yes.
when you activated the emergency overhead lights on the dual patrol vehicle, did that indicate that you intended to detain a person?
Yes,
So that is a show of force.
yes.
And did Mr. Evans respond to that show of force?
Mr. Evans' response to the activation of lights was to keep rolling on his bicycle.
Any further questions? Any further questions?
No from the defense, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
By the state has.
Yes, Your Honor, from the defense.
All right, thank you.
15 লাখ টাকা পেয়ে গেলেন, এরপর কি করবেন?
আমি নিজের নামে একটা রেস্টুরেন্ট ওপেন করতে চাই, এটা করতে পারবো, এটা করতে পারবো।
15 লক্ষ টাকায় রেস্টুরেন্ট হবে না তো?
8 বছর চাকরি করেছি মানবাধিকার সংস্থায়। চাকরি চলাকালীন আমি কোনো কিছু শিখতেও পারছিলাম না, এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আগাতেও পারছিলাম না, সেজন্য আমি চাকরি ছেড়েছি এটাতে আগাবো বলে। আমার রেসিপির নাম হলো ভেলভেটি কোকোয়া ক্রেভিং।
জান্নাত, কি করেন আপনি?
আমার একটা অনলাইন পেজ আছে যেখানে বাসায় ফুড বানিয়ে সেটা কি বলে সেল করি। কারিগরি প্রশিক্ষণ কেন্দ্র থেকে কয়েকটা বেকিং এবং কুকিংয়ের উপরে সার্টিফাইড কোর্স করেছি এবং বর্তমানে এখন ডিপ্লোমা কালিনারি ম্যানেজমেন্টের উপরে ডিপ্লোমা করছি।
কেন এত পড়াশোনা করেছেন কালিনারি নিয়ে?
নিজেকে একজন প্রফেশনাল শেফ হিসেবে দেখতে চাই।
যখন প্রফেশনাল শেফ হয়ে যাবেন, আমি লাস্ট 7 বছর ঈদে কখনো ছুটি নেইনি। সো ঈদ কমপ্লিটলি গন, হলিডেজ কমপ্লিটলি গন। ফ্যামিলি এটা রাজি হবে? ফ্যামিলি মানবে?
আমি 8 বছর চাকরি করেছি মানবাধিকার সংস্থায়। চাকরি চলাকালীন আমি কোনো কিছু শিখতেও পারছিলাম না, এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আগাতেও পারছিলাম না, সেজন্য আমি চাকরি ছেড়েছি এটাতে আগাবো বলে। আর চাকরি যখন করেছি তখন আমার ছেলেকে আমার মা, আমার বোন ওরা হলো কি দেখাশোনা করেছে।
আপনার কেন মনে হচ্ছে যে সেরা রাঁধুনি সেই প্ল্যাটফর্ম যেটা আপনাকে শেফ হতে সাহায্য করবে?
যারা এই কালিনারি জগতে আসতে চায় তাদের জন্য একটা সেরা প্ল্যাটফর্ম হলো সেরা রাঁধুনি। সব কিছু একটা শক্ত হাতের প্রয়োজন হয় কোনো কিছুতে সামনে আগিয়ে যেতে, তো আমার কাছে শক্ত হাত সেই সেরা রাঁধুনিটা।
শেফ আমরা কি করতে পারি বলেন?
নিয়ে যাই ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিয়ে।
ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
4 বছরের অপেক্ষা।
কি নাম তোমার?
ফাতেমা খাতুন ঋতু।
কি বানিয়েছো আজকে?
ডেজার্ট বানিয়েছি হানি সানফ্লাওয়ার। আমি এখানে বাকলাভা করছি ক্রিম চিজ দিয়ে, যেখানে আমি ক্রিম চিজে ইউজ করেছি হানি।
সো দিস ইজ আ বাকলাভা।
বাকলাভা এবং চিজ
আউটার লেয়ারটা বাকলাভার,
এবং উপরে চিজ কেক,
চিজ কেক, এন্ড দেন দিস
দম চিকেন, আর ওইটা নান বানাইছি আমি।
এই দুটো রেসিপি থেকে যদি যে কোনো একটা সিলেক্ট করতে হয়, আমি যদি বলি আপনাকে আমি একটার জন্য মার্ক করব, সেটা কি হবে?
তাহলে বাকলাভা চিজ কেক।
কেন?
বাকলাভা আমার বেকিং খুব ভালো লাগে করতে।
কয়েকটি কুইজিনের নাম বলেন।
আচ্ছা, মানে আমি ইতালিয়ান, তারপর এইভাবে বলবো কি, পাস্তা, তারপর পিৎজা, ইন্ডিয়ান কুইজিনের মধ্যে আসে বিরিয়ানি, তারপর হলো বিভিন্ন ধরনের রায়তা, রাবড়ি, এগুলা। আর টার্কিশ ডেজার্ট করেছি। টার্কিশ ডেজার্টে বাকলাভা তো আসেই। থাই কুইজিনে হলো টম ইয়াম স্যুপ আছে, তারপরে হলো থাই ফ্রাইড রাইস আছে। একটু
লেটস সে আমরা আপনাকে আজকে সিলেক্ট করলাম, আপনি শোতে এসে শো জিতে গিয়েছেন,
ওকে।
15 লাখ টাকা পেয়ে গেলেন, এরপর কি করবেন?
আমি নিজের নামে একটা রেস্টুরেন্ট ওপেন করতে চাই। এটা করতে পারবো, এটা করতে পারবো।
15 লক্ষ টাকায় রেস্টুরেন্ট হবে না তো?
যতটুকু হোক,
বাকিটা
ছোট হোক বা বড় হোক, যতটুকু হোক আমি করব।
যদি আজকে এখানে সুযোগ না পান, তাহলে কি আপনার জার্নিটা থেমে যাবে?
না না না, অবশ্যই না, আমি আবার চেষ্টা করব।
আই লাইক দ্য স্পিরিট। আপনার ফুডের টেস্ট ভালো,
থ্যাংক ইউ।
এখন খুশি হতে পারেন। আপনাকে যখন 15 লাখ টাকা জিতেছেন, আপনি ইমাজিন করতে বলছে আপনি অনেক খুশি হয়ে গিয়েছিলেন।
না না, এমন কিছু না। ঢাকা অবধি যাই, তখন হয়তো ইমাজিন করতে পারবো যে আমি অনেকটা একটা ধাপ হলেও এগিয়ে আসতে
ইমাজিন
পারছি।
করেন আপনি ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়ে গিয়েছেন।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা,
পেয়ে গিয়েছেন,
সত্যি।
জি চলে আসুন।
আমার মাঝে আমি সেরা রাধুনী।
chân thật và kiên nhẫn con mang theo gieo thiện lương muôn phương bằng cả trái tim thiên thần còn nhìn đây khắp nơi mẹ ơi. Trên trời cao con rớt xuống đầy khóc được làm em bé xíu của mẹ này. Dịu dàng mẹ cười đón thiên thần đáng yêu. Mẹ nhìn
Mình
con
đang tô bằng cái màu đỏ
hạnh
nha,
phúc
một cái màu đỏ tươi rất là
mẹ dạy con hãy
lộng lẫy cho chú công này,
người tốt
với bộ lông dài.
nói dối bao người mến yêu thương và bao dung mọi người bên con nhân đại khi con gặp khó khăn. Mẹ yêu ơi lời mẹ dạy con không khắc nhau yêu mẹ con yêu nhất trên đời này. Anh tặng mẹ yêu dấu thật nhiều cái ơn. Mẹ là thiên thần của con. Mẹ yêu ơi lời mẹ dạy con buồn
Mình đã tô xong cái phần đuôi là màu tím và màu đỏ nha. Mình sẽ tô đôi chân với cái màu nâu. Đây là cái màu nâu nha. Tới cái phần chân là cái màu nâu nè. Bộ lông dài, bộ đuôi dài lên nó sẽ che hết cả cái phần chân của chú công này nha. Mình sẽ tô phần lông trên bằng cái màu vàng. Vàng và cam kết hợp.
আপনার রাইস যেটা জি খুব যে খারাপ হয়েছে সেটা না।
On top of that, it is slightly overcooked.
আমার নাম প্রীতি ইসলাম। আমি আজকে কোকোনাট রাইস রান্না করেছি। কোকোনাট রাইস উইথ গ্রিল চিকেন অ্যান্ড কোরিয়ান্ডার সস, সাথে পামকিনের আরেকটা সস দিয়েছি। ডেজার্টে দিয়েছি বাহারি মোহনভোগ।
আপনার মানে এই যে রেসিপি জি সব কিছু মিলিয়ে কি মনে হয় সেরা রাঁধুনিতে পার্টিসিপেট করার জন্য এটা দিস ইজ বেস্ট রেসিপি?
জি, আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এটা বেস্ট হবে।
প্রীতি, ফার্স্ট থিং আমি আপনাকে টেকনিক্যাল জিনিসটা বলি,
Yeah, sure.
ঠিক আছে? ইটস ভেরি ড্রাই। সেকেন্ড জিনিস হলো গিয়ে হোল রোস্ট ইজ নট দি আইডিয়াল থিং টু ডু when you're serving this at a restaurant or এরকম একটা কুকিং শোতে। You don't expect the judges or the customer এটাকে কেটে নেবে। On top of that, it is slightly overcooked.
এখন একটু আমরা টেস্ট করে দেখি। আপনার রাইস যেটা জি খুব যে খারাপ হয়েছে সেটা না, ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
আর ডেজার্টটাও মাইল্ড, মানে মিষ্টির ব্যালেন্সটা ভালো আছে।
জি জি।
কিন্তু ব্যাপারটা হয় কি যে যখন আমরা অডিশনে আসি তখন এতগুলো জিনিস দিয়ে আসলে অডিশন না।
আমি
দরকার
জেনেছি
ছিল
কারণ
না।
আমি হচ্ছে ফুল প্ল্যাটারটাই সার্ভ করতে
ঠিক আছে,
এটা আমার ইন্টেনশন ছিল।
এতগুলো না দিয়েও আপনি শুধু একটার উপর যদি ফোকাস দিতেন
জি জি।
তাও মনে হয় আপনার
আমি
বেস্ট হতো।
সবগুলোর উপরে সমান ফোকাস দিয়েছি, বাই মিস্টেকেনলি একটু ফল্ট হয়েছে হয়তো, কিন্তু আমি চেষ্টা করছি খুব যত্ন করে করার অ্যাকচুয়ালি।
আসলে যত্নের ছোঁয়া এখানে আছে আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি, এবং রেসিপির মধ্যেও আমার কাছে ভিন্নতা লেগেছে, আর কিছু টেকনিক্যাল ফল্ট আছে। তো আমার মনে হয় ওইগুলো যদি একটু কারেকশন করা যায় তাহলে ইট ওয়াজ গুড।
প্রীতি, the chicken has flavor, চিকেনটা মজা, সসটাও মজা, রাইট? বাট বেসিকে প্রবলেম হয়ে গেছে। বেসিক ইজ আপনার কুকিংটাই তো ওভারকুকড।
আমাকে অ্যাকচুয়ালি পোলট্রি চুজ করতে হতো মেবি এই ক্ষেত্রে।
ফার্মের মুরগি ইউজ করলে মনে হয়
পোলট্রিটা
জি।
বেশি জুসি।
অফ কোর্স।
আমার এটা ফল্ট হয়েছে, এটা আমি বুঝছি।
প্রীতি, আই থিঙ্ক ওভারঅল টেস্ট ভালো আছে, অ্যান্ড আই থিঙ্ক ইটস আ গুড এফোর্ট। উই ওয়ান্ট টু গিভ ইউ আ চান্স। ঠিক আছে,
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ওয়েট করেন, আসেন, আপনাকে ওয়েটিং কার্ড দেওয়া হবে।
আমার খুবই ভালো লাগছে যে আমি ওয়েটিং কার্ডটা পেয়ে গেছি। আমি কিন্তু কনফিডেন্ট ছিলাম যে আমি ওয়েটিং কার্ডটা পাবো, আর আমি এখন অপেক্ষায় আছি নেক্সট রাউন্ডে ঢাকা যাওয়ার জন্য। আমি আশাবাদী যে আমি ঢাকা পর্যন্ত যেতে পারবো। Mình đã tô xong bức tranh về chú mèo nha. Các bạn hãy quan sát lại bức tranh mình đã hoàn thiện này. Để theo dõi các video tiếp theo, các bạn nhớ bấm like cho mình nhé. Xin chào các bạn.
Hello, xin chào các bạn đến với kênh YouTube của mình nha. Hôm nay chúng mình cùng nhau tô màu bức tranh về một chú gà mái nè, một chú gà mái hoa mơ này. Chúng mình cùng tô màu nha. Một chú gà mái với cái bộ chân rất là sần sù, như kiểu chú ấy là một chú gà mái rất già rồi ấy. Nên mình sẽ tô cái màu của nó là màu đỏ nhá. Đây này, đây là cái màu đỏ này. Mình sẽ tô cái phần màu trên đỉnh đầu trước nha. Mình đang tô cái phần màu của chú gà. Mình đã tô xong cái phần màu với cái màu đỏ này rồi nhá. Giờ mình sẽ tô sang phần mỏ này. Để cái màu nâu. Đây là cái màu nâu này. Mình sẽ dùng cái chì ngòi nhỏ này. Một cái mỏ rất là sắc nhọn.
ওয়াও মনে হয়, ভিজুয়ালি দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ, প্রেজেন্টেশনটা ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি। ঢাকা অডিশনের জন্য একটু টেনশন হচ্ছে নেক্সট রাউন্ডে আমি যেতে পারবো কিনা।
আমার মাঝে আমি সেরা রাধুনী।
সুরাইয়া পারভিন, কি বানিয়েছেন আপনি?
আমি একটি ডেজার্ট নিয়ে এসেছি আজকে, লেয়ার কার্ড ফ্যান্টাসি।
আমি জানি না টেস্ট কেমন, আমি জাস্ট আপনার পেইন্টিংটা দেখেই ওয়াও মনে হয়। ডেজার্ট ছাড়া আপনি ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কুইজিন আর কি বানাতে পারেন?
থাই, চাইনিজটা পারি।
থাই আর চাইনিজ কুইজিনের মধ্যে পার্থক্যটা কি বলতে পারবেন?
কিছুটা কাছাকাছি, কারণ এই দুটার মধ্যে আপনার যেই প্রোডাক্টগুলো আমরা ইউজ করি প্রায় একই রকম।
অনেকটা ডিফারেন্স আছে। থাই খুব ঝাল হয়, চাইনিজ অত ঝাল হয় না। আর থাইতে প্রচুর কোকোনাট ইউজ করে, চাইনিজে অত কোকোনাট ইউজ হয় না। এছাড়াও এরকম অনেক উদাহরণ আছে
জি
দুটো ফুডের মধ্যে।
জি,
সেরা রাঁধুনিতে কেন এসেছেন?
আমি মনে করি ম্যাম সেরাধনী একটা হচ্ছে বিশাল বড় একটা প্ল্যাটফর্ম, যেখানে নিজেকে আমি উপস্থাপন করতে পারবো সবার সামনে, আমি আমার প্রতিভাকে দেখাতে পারবো। ফিউচারে আমার খুব ইচ্ছা নিজেকে একজন সফল উদ্যোক্তা হিসেবে তৈরি করা। আমি মনে করি সেরাধনী আমাকে সেই প্ল্যাটফর্মটা আমাকে তৈরি করে দিবে।
আজকে যদি আমরা আপনাকে ওয়েটিং কার্ড না দিই তাহলে আপনার কেমন লাগবে?
ভালো খারাপ দুইটাই লাগবে। কার্ড পেলে ভালো লাগবে, না পেলে ইনশাল্লাহ পরের বার আরও ভালোভাবে চেষ্টা করে আসবো।
আপনি তো আমাদের আগের চ্যালেঞ্জেসগুলো দেখেছেন, অনেক ইন্টারন্যাশনাল, অনেক ফিউশন, অনেক ডিফারেন্ট টাইপ অফ চ্যালেঞ্জেস থাকে। সো আপনার মনে হয় আপনি রেডি?
ইয়েস, আমি রেডি।
তাহলে চলে আসেন, আপনাকে আমরা
চলে আসুন।
একটা ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিতে চাচ্ছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি, ভালো লাগছে। জাজরা আমার ফুড খেয়ে অনেক প্রশংসা করেছে। ঢাকা অডিশনের জন্য একটু টেনশন হচ্ছে নেক্সট রাউন্ডে আমি যেতে পারবো কিনা।
সীমানা যতই হোক দেয়ালে ঘেরা, এ আমারই মঞ্চ, জানি আমি সেরা।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
আমি শারমিন সাবালিনা। আমি আজকে নিয়ে এসেছি পিনা কোলাডা পাইনাপেল কেক।
ভিজুয়ালি দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ, প্রেজেন্টেশনটা ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
কি করেন?
একাডেমিক পড়াশোনা শেষ করেছি আমি, আর বর্তমানে আমি কালিনারি আর্টসের উপরে ডিপ্লোমা করছি, আর হোমমেড একটা খাবারের বিজনেস আছে যেটা আমি আমাদের এলাকাতে রান করছি।
শামিন, আপনি কোকোনাট ইউজ করেছেন এখানে?
না সে
পিনা কোলাডাতে কিন্তু কোকোনাট যায়। ইটস আ মিক্সচার অফ পাইনঅ্যাপল এন্ড কোকোনাট।
কোকোনাট।
আমার কাছে মানে কেকের টেস্টটা বেশ ভালো লেগেছে।
আমার কাছেও কেকের টেস্টটা
ভালো
ভালো লেগেছে। ইটস নট টু সুইট, দেয়ার ইজ পাইনঅ্যাপল when you call
ভেরি
it।
জুইসি।
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম।
আপনি এটা ছাড়া আর কি রান্না করতে পারেন? ঝাল খাবার কি রান্না করতে পারেন?
বিরিয়ানি, কাবাব, হচ্ছে মুঠি কাবাব, শামি কাবাব,
International
আছে জালি কাবাব,
ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কোনো খাবার?
যেমন চাইনিজের মধ্যে ফ্রাইড রাইস, চিলি চিকেন, ওনথন, থাই স্যুপ, এগুলো সব পারি।
চাইনিজের মধ্যে তো থাই আসে না।
নার্ভাস কেন?
ভালো আসছে না।
আমি জানি আপনি জানেন, বাট আপনি নার্ভাস কেন এত?
প্রথমবার আমার অডিশন, তো সেই জন্য।
আগে কেন আসেন?
আগে আমি মানে গত সিজন আমি ভাবছিলাম যে দিব, তারপর ভাবলাম যে না, আমি একটু কাঁচা আছি, এখানে তো দেখি অনেক সব দক্ষ সবাই আসে, ওই জন্য আমি ভাবছিলাম একটু ভালো মতো শিখে তারপর যাই, সেই জন্য।
সো আপনার মনে হয় আপনি এবারের জন্য রেডি?
হ্যাঁ, আমার মনে হয় আমি রেডি আছি এবারের জন্য।
তাহলে আমরাও রেডি। এখন আপনাকে একটা ওয়েটিং কার্ড দেই।
থ্যাংক ইউ শেফ।
চমক দেখাতে
সেরা রাঁধুনির ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি, আর আশা করছি গ্র্যান্ড অডিশনের জন্য সিলেক্ট হব ইনশাল্লাহ। এটা পেয়েছি, এটাতে অনেক খুশি লাগছে। ইনশাল্লাহ গ্র্যান্ড অডিশনের জন্য সিলেক্ট হলে আরও বেশি খুশি হব।
Học đi con. Ôi chơi lắm cái này.
Con phải lên, con đánh câu của bạn. Con dạy là. Xong rồi cũng đã không mua. Thế bạn em dạy mà. Thầy gì ở đây luôn.
Thôi học đi. Không đi lắng cái này đâu con ơi.
Con có mũ mà.
Thì nhà sẽ tô phần con ơi, đi đâu ấy? Con mình sẽ tô cái phần chúng mày Hello Kitty này bằng cái màu hồng nhá, hồng phấn này. Đôi môi là màu đỏ nè. mình đã tô xong phần đầu với cái màu hồng nhá.